think we will go ahead and get started. So just want to introduce Cindy Fagan, who is here today with the Linn County Master Gardeners, and she is going to be giving us a tour through some of the public gardens that she's visited in Iowa that hopefully you can visit someday too. So I will turn it over to Cindy.
Thank you very much. All right, now I'm trying to, let's see. Is the screen up there, or are you seeing me?
Yep, I can see you, but I can see the screen too. So
I think the screen is gonna interfere with some of the pictures. So is there a way that I can take this, all the views down or not of all the attendees?
yes, although on each of our computers, we can do that too. So it doesn't interfere with our view.
Cindy, I can see the slide just perfectly, and I can see you in the little picture in the corner.
So this isn't cutting off my pictures?
Not at all.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, yes, I am Cindy Fagan, and I've been a Master Gardener in Linn County here for about 10 years. And a couple of years ago, I thought I'd put together a presentation of the public gardens in Iowa. We are very fortunate to have many, many beautiful public gardens in the state of Iowa to explore and enjoy. And these are only just like some that are so close to us. And there's so many more out there that I'll probably do another presentation after COVID is done. But to inspire you to visit these wonderful places, I thought I would share some information and photos of some that are all less than 2-hour drive from our area. Some are actually in our own backyard. And so this is just a sampling of public gardens, and as I explore more, I will bring back more to share. To start, we are going to visit the mysterious hidden Better Homes and Gardens test garden in downtown Des Moines. Located at the corner of Grand Avenue and 15th Street, this garden is completely surrounded by solid brick walls and cement. It is a display garden, testing grounds, and photography studio for the Meredith Corporation publications, including Better Homes and Garden magazine. There is no admission charge. This garden is open to the public only on Fridays from 12 to 2 from May through October. So you can call ahead to schedule a tour if you decide. The day I visited, the gardens were in full bloom. They were filled with people in the courtyard, at tables and benches having picnics and admiring the gardens. There is a shade garden, a native meadow, perennials, vegetables, and herbs. This garden has paved pathways, but there are a few stairs, so you need to take that into consideration when you visit. So here's just a few pictures. This is when you were just walking into the garden. They have a lot of different varieties that are all really well labeled. So if you are excited about a certain thing, you can tell right away what it is you want to go out and buy. This is just an example of a lovely herb garden that they had. It takes up little space, nice. So you can see some of the garden pathways were rock and some were gravel and some were paved. But this little path led to a nice shaded little bench in the corner. There are a few steps up to some of the patio areas, and there's plenty of seating though if you want to take a lunch and just sit out and enjoy. Lots of beautiful plants. Shaded too, which is very nice, very private. And of course, there are water features. Oops, went a little fast on that one. As you can see, there's just a few little steps on some of these pathways. Another water feature. Oh, I must be too heavy-handed on my little clicker here. So there is also just beautiful hosta in the shade area, just huge. Lots of little niches to enjoy. There are also vegetable gardens. There were quite a few people were out and about looking around. Just a beautiful, beautiful fountain that brought a lot of not only just the sound and the beauty of it was really nice. So next on our tour, we're visiting the Greater Des Moines Botanical Gardens, and that is at 909 Robert D. Ray Drive. It's located on the Des Moines River, and this garden is open from 10 to 5 daily, but may be closed on some holidays. There is a charge for admission, but it does offer some memberships. There's a fun gift shop, a cafe that offers lunch. The geodesic conservatory was the original anchor piece to this garden, but recently it's been reinvigorated and outdoor gardens have been added to the 7-acre grounds. It boasts 10 distinct spaces. There are tours, classes, and workshops, and it is available for rental, including for weddings. It has paid staff and also uses volunteers. The Garden's Grow It app allows you to use your cell phone for a self-guided tour. So there are many steps inside, and the paths outside are paved, but some have stairs to them. So we'll start out inside. Well, actually, this is the entranceway, very colorful artwork all around. And inside, you'll find a variety of mostly tropical plants. And as you can see, there are little pathways that are paved, but there are a lot of steps in there. It's very humid, which all these tropical plants love. Nice sunny day when I was there. It was big puffy clouds. It was really beautiful. So in the winter, it's a great place to go too. When you're outside, they had a lot of artwork, and then the flower gardens themselves were just gorgeous. So it covered 7 acres, so there was quite a few walkways that were paved and lots of beautiful artwork. And you can see downtown Des Moines in the background there, and it's just along the river. So, but they have very, very large water features, really nice pond with just tons of beautiful water lilies of all shapes and sizes, and they were huge out there. Very relaxing. There's a boardwalk that goes right up to them. So you're just standing right above them and looking down into the clear water. So the walkways are mostly paved like this one. This is a cement with brick. And as you can see, there's just a nice, really nice place to stroll and see all the different plantings they have. In the middle of their 7 acres outside, they have a very large open grassy area that they use for events. And this is just an example of them setting up for an event that day. There are, you can see in the front, there are steps that we are up on an elevated area. So there's steps that go down to this area. Uh-oh, I'm not moving. Shoot. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's try again. There we go. Okay. So as you can see there, these chairs all facing to the front, and this is with the centerpiece there area. There's it's a waterfall. It's just beautiful. Lots of wonderful noise with that, very relaxing. And there's actually a bench there that you can sit behind the waterfall inside the structure and look out, see outside. That large oval area is surrounded by tons of beautiful perennials and shrubs. And when I got there, this was in August, most everything was in bloom. There are some gravel pathways, and you can see some of the artwork in the distance. And then, of course, attached to the dome, there are these nice outside patio areas. And this is where they also have different events. And there's a restaurant, and you can go out there and sit. Some beautiful tree species. Lots of blooms, lots of color. Also, when I was there that day, they had this, a few of the really, these are quite old. I don't know if you can see, but like this garden junipers, they started training it in 1960. And so these were all outside on display, and there were many of them. This one was from 1928, this olive. So it's just really interesting to see that that tiny plant has been nurtured through and lasted that long. This one, 1972, when it started. So that was a really interesting part of the display also. And as you look over from the deck, you can see that there's the Des Moines River. So we're going to travel north on I-35 to Ames, and that's where we find the Reiman Gardens. Reiman Gardens fulfills the horticultural and educational mission of Iowa State University. Reiman is located at 1407 University Boulevard, which is tucked right back next to Jack Trice Stadium. So keep that in mind if you're planning on visiting on a Saturday in the fall. Reiman Gardens fills 27 acres of indoor and outdoor displays. A highlight is the 2,500 square foot butterfly wing. Reiman has paid staff and also uses interns and volunteers. There is an admission charge and it is open year round with hours varying by the season. These gardens boast a gift shop and a snack bar. They offer tours, workshops, and school programs. Reiman has some paved, some gravel and mulch paths, and does include some stairs. So right away when you come in to see the driveway, there is quite a bit of the cyclone paraphernalia around, so you'll get the adjust, and you're right there by the stadium. This is in front where you can see where the butterfly gardens are inside. And you walk into a nice cool walkway with lots of blooming flowers. There's also a patio if you want to take your lunch or have a snack. Beautiful there. And they also have different, offer those for rent. And as you can see, there is Jack Trice Stadium right around the corner there. So it's pretty close and you can really hear a lot of activity some days. The year that I was there, which was a couple years ago, they had all these wind or kinetic sculptures that provided a beautiful background of music as I was walking around the grounds. They also reflect the light. The wind takes them and it was really pretty. I know this year they have an origami display, which I haven't seen yet, but I hope to still get there yet this fall. Inside the building is the butterfly garden, and they have a beautiful display of butterflies from all over the world. As you can see, just tons of different colors, and it was really, they're quite stunning. And some moths. They were huge. All right, I'm stuck again, so I'm going to go back. Maybe. All right, I'm having a problem here. Sorry. I'm not sure why it won't go. I think I'm going to have to get my helper. Hang on a second. Well, it just won't go. Oh, there it did. Huh.
Oh, my
Very
goodness.
good. Thank you.
Hey, I must have just had the touch.
You did. Thank you.
How lucky could you be? I had the
Right,
touch.
thank you.
Not usual.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that, but here's a couple more examples of the butterflies that were in there that day, and they were all just gorgeous. Whoops, now it wants to skip ahead. Okay, these were some of the different plantings that they had of annuals. And as you can see, this tree form was full of annual plants, and it was just stunning. There were a few of them throughout the gardens, adding a lot of color. And they also had water features, including ponds with lovely lilies in them. Always fun to look at. And you can see there are more of those different wind structures. Add a lot of sparkle and a lot of nice sound to the tour. There's another example of one of those garden sculptures. Okay, onward. We continue to travel up I-35 and make our way to Clear Lake to visit the wonderful, serene Central Gardens of Iowa. This is located at 800 2nd Avenue North and is a true treasure in the heart of Clear Lake. Central Gardens are free and open daily, dawn to dusk. There is a free on-street parking. These gardens were started in 1988 after the old Clear Lake School was demolished. It fills 2.75 acres and is run by volunteers and one part-time executive director. It's called a work in progress, and it has impressive buildings, including a pavilion, offices, and meeting rooms. This nonprofit offers education, recreation, cultural, and social spaces. Gardens include a children's garden and activity area. There are performances, picnics, rentals, and an annual garden party. Fresh on Fridays is a weekly event where volunteers pick flowers and make arrangements for the public to buy. Central Gardens has mostly paved paths, and there are a few stairs. This is one of my favorite gardens. And you walk in off the street, so the parking is free right along the street. And there's something reminiscent of the school grounds that it used to be. The paths and everything were really nicely done and well maintained. There's of course water features throughout. Lots of shade, beautiful shade, and as well as sun gardens. There's a little creek that runs through. And there were lots of perennials as well as annuals planted. Many places to sit and rest and just enjoy. This is their butterfly garden. And once again, having the wind involved in your enjoyment is a theme throughout most of these gardens. Beautiful allium. This has, in the middle of it, has a really lovely water feature with a little bit of a waterfall coming down. Oops. You can see the kind of steps down. Different planting areas. In the background there, you'll see that is their workshop area and their office. They have classes there, and they also use that when the gardens are rented for different functions. More wind, some Joe Pye weed. I'm really amused by when I went to these places and go into their public restrooms. There was always little bouquets of flowers from the garden. It was really a sweet touch, and it really made it very special. This was the children's part of the gardens. All right, here we go again. We're stuck, sorry. Maybe if I give it a chance to wait here. Oh, sorry, took me way ahead. All right. Lots of little seating for the kids. This is a really nice little feature where they could dig and plant artificial flowers in these pots with potting soil. Really cute idea. Lots of different signage, educational things. The kale was quite big. Lots of whimsical different decorations. And you can see that you'll have to walk up the steps to get to the top of this structure, but it was really nice. And then looking down, there's a nice little area to seat and have your lunch. And you can also see the gardens from a kind of an upper view from the terrace up there at the top of the structure. This part is used a lot for weddings and other ceremonies, as you can see the beautiful arch. And then there's grass in the middle where you can see people again. Lots of little benches. Love to be living in those apartments next door. This would be your view. It would be beautiful. And this was from behind that arch where you can see out into that grassy area. And this is an example of what it would look like if you were having a wedding or something, and that's how they would set that up. Of course, there's sunflowers, rudbeckia. Oops, I just went through there. But all the walkways were very safe and very smooth. So it was really nice to be able to walk through there and not worry about tripping over anything. This was another waterfall. Once again, the lilies. Oops. Plenty of places to sit and eat. Sorry, this is not going. So this is a sidewalk outside. So it's enclosed by a fence, but you can get in any day during the daylight hours. And then there's on-street parking. So we're going to travel eastern Highway 18 now from Clear Lake and go a little north. And that's where you'll find Seed Savers Exchange, which is on North Wind Road, north of Decorah. This nonprofit is open seasonally at no charge. Seed Savers was begun to promote and preserve culturally diverse garden and food crops by collecting, growing, and sharing heirloom plants and seeds. Over 75% of the plant varieties have been lost over this past century, and so they aim to help preserve them. Seed Savers is a farm that sits on 890 acres and grows 100 varieties of seeds each year, with 900 varieties of apple trees, heritage poultry, ancient white park cattle, and fish in its trout stream. They preserve, store, and regenerate, then distribute heirloom seed varieties so others will grow and share. Seed Savers offers memberships, workshops, classes, and tours. There's a gift shop with seeds, tools, and an annual free catalog, and a plant sale in the spring. They even have concerts, tomato tastings, and an annual camp out on the grounds. There are gravel trails to hike around the farm, and up the hill from the demonstration gardens is where the magic of growing, preserving the seeds happens. And tours are welcome. I'll just show you a few examples of their demonstration gardens where they grow. And they use a variety of different supports and things to give you ideas on what you can use. And that right there is the where the gift shop and the offices are. And then at the top of the hill, this is one of the ways that they preserve all the seeds. They have these magical freezers. The barn back there is where they house some of the cattle and the chickens. Okay, so we left Decorah and now we're heading south and a bit east, and that's where you'll find the Dubuque Arboretum and Botanical Gardens. Situated at 3800 Arboretum Drive on the north side of Dubuque, it's tucked into a newer residential area. The gardens are located in the city-owned Marshall Park. These gardens encompass 56 acres, and it was developed in 1980 and is run and maintained by property caregivers and volunteers working in teams. Open from 7 a.m. to dusk year-round. There's no admission fee, but you can become a member. Located in the main building is a gift shop and a library. There are over 60 types of gardens, including an annual All-American Selection Garden. The gardens sponsor concerts and other events. There's a wonderful children's play area and picnics. You can arrange a tour or use one of their tour carts that are available. Not all paths are paved, and there's some very large hills and steps. So it's a little bit harder to get around, but this garden is one of my favorites. So when you come in, you'll see some of the annual gardens right away. They do an excellent job. And then of course, we'll have the shade gardens with lots of pasta. When I was there was so much color. Everything was really in bloom. It was beautiful. There are lots of different structures in this garden, lots of places to sit in the shade or in the sun if you'd like. Little benches throughout. Here's part of the hosta garden. Some whimsical art. And that's part of the hosta garden too. Sorry, we're stuck here. There is a formal English garden. It's well manicured and it's very interesting. Looks really nice with a beautiful fountain in the middle. Oops. Shade garden. And a cactus garden. An herb garden. Another fountain in the middle. Lots of perennials, shrubs. And some interesting artwork. This is called The Seedling. And then as you go further down the hill, you'll get to the pond, and there are some beautiful little waterfalls as the little creek goes down towards the pond. This is the pond area. It's bigger than it looks in that picture. Some beautiful, beautiful trees. There's koi in the pond. You can see the little waterfalls coming down, just really nice. Tons of koi. And they were right there when you came, boy, they didn't waste any time coming up to you. And there's a place where you can buy koi fish food to feed them. So they're probably counting on that. It's very serene and very cool down here by the pond. And beautiful artwork, different specimens. One of the fundraisers they do is you sponsor a tree and you get to put a little label on it. So here's one for a birthday. There's a nice little deck to walk out on by the pond. Little bridge. Beautiful artwork. It's an interesting metal tree. And as you go back up the hill, more plantings. And then the Arboretum sits on the other side, and the beautiful tree specimens, they also have benches out there. They have concerts in the evenings in the summertime. So if you don't bring a blanket, you can snag a bench to sit and listen. And that is the shelter where they have the music plays from there. Other areas with nice benches. Another tree that's planted in memory of someone. This is the children's play area, and I think they did a really nice job with this. Very nice restrooms and lots of places for adults to sit if they want to just watch the children play. Lots of different specimens of different trees, just beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to head back towards Cedar Rapids. We're going down Highway 151, and I would recommend a quick stop at the Riverside Gardens, just north, or just in the north side of Monticello, along the Maquoketa River. This city park was built and is maintained by volunteers. It is free and open to the public daily from dawn until dusk. There are 30 different garden beds, a gazebo, picnic facilities, trails, and a wetland. There are lovely benches throughout the garden to sit and relax on as you take in the beautiful sights. Located at the entrance is an area where they sell plants in the spring and the early summer. This garden has some brick, but mostly unpaved walkways. Nice sign that you can see from the highway. Lots of colorful plantings. Fun artwork. One of their fundraisers is to pay for a stone in memory of someone or as a donation, and then you get your name on it. This is interesting. These were planted and apparently they were cut them down, but they left the trees, the trunks up to make it's a really nice piece of structure there. Looks really interesting. Zinnias were going crazy that day. So much color. It's just beautiful. And once again, lots of hosta underneath the trees. Butterfly garden. Jumped over that, but butterflies were there. Sorry. Okay, now, before we arrive back in our home area from our whirlwind tour, we're going to jump over to the Cedar Valley Botanical Gardens located near Hawkeye Community College just outside of Waterloo. These gardens are open seasonally with reduced hours in the winter. There is an admission fee. This nonprofit is staffed by 2 full-time employees, 1 to 3 interns, and over 150 volunteers. The Cedar Valley Gardens were started in 1996 and includes an education center, a small gift shop, classes, tours, story time in the children's gardens, festivals, and rentals. There's a labyrinth and large native prairie. It has many fun features for children and adults alike, including cairns and mosaic culture. Most walkways and trails are gravel. When you walk in there, you walk in through the visitor center, and it takes you right out to this beautiful shaded area to rest. There are water features throughout the gardens. A cairn. This cairn was built in Waterloo and donated to the garden, so they had to dismantle it, mark every piece, and then restructure it or put it together again here at the garden. So it took a long time to make sure every piece fit in right again. This is an example of one of the many mosaic cultures that they have there. Underneath the plantings are chicken wire and other things to support the sculpture. They're just really a treat for children and adults alike to see. Lots of beautiful structure and fountains. So here's an example of one of the mosaic cultures that they have. It's a buffalo. That was very interesting. So they use the different types of plants for the different textures, and it was just amazing, amazing work. One of the highlights of this garden is the children's area. As you can see, there's fun place for kids to go inside. They can actually open that door and go inside that sod house. And each of these corn cribs had a different theme, so they could go in and like make music or play in the general store. As you can see, there were quite a few of them. And this is where they had story hour also in the mornings for children. In the middle, there is a water feature where there's koi. And this is an interesting green roofed playhouse. They were growing plants on top. And here's this really large peacock mosaic sculpture. Just really interesting. And you can see from further away. Also little fairy gardens. And some bees. Throughout the gardens, there were ponds with little koi and of course the water lilies. And as you walk further down, then you'll get to walk through the Arboretum area with all the different types of trees. There is a very, very large butterfly meadow. It was in gorgeous bloom with all the native plants in there. And of course, a hosta area where you could just sit and enjoy the cool. The master gardeners planted an orchard there, and that area is used frequently for weddings and other events like that. Okay, so now we arrived back in Cedar Rapids, but I can't neglect to tell you about our lovely Noelridge Park. This Cedar Rapids City Park sits on 100 acres and includes flower beds, demonstration gardens, gravel and grass trails, a large native prairie and pond, as well as playgrounds, shelters, and restrooms. Its greenhouse supplies annuals and perennials for planting on city properties every year. The park is staffed by both employees and volunteers, including a very large number of our very own Linn County Master Gardeners. There are tours available, greenhouse open houses, free concerts, and it is home to the local school district's cross-country races. This park is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily and is free of charge. So some of you will be very familiar with this. Just love the varieties that you get to see out here. And the newer feature is the pollinator, like the meadow, and it's just beautiful. You can see where the lines are marked off for the cross country. This was getting towards fall when I was here. They also do quite a few work with monarchs in this area. And there's a fairly new hosta garden, which is beautiful. And you can see the greenhouse in the background there. Of course, the pond has been redone recently also, and it's really, really beautiful. And some garden sculpture, of course. Zinnias were a big hit that day too. Okay, so I think I'm at the end of this, and I also have a listing of all of the different gardens there are. If people want to jot those down, or if you send me an email, I can send the list to you. Just gives you their website and just information on how to locate them. So questions, anyone?
Cindy, I had a question. This is Diane. On one of the sculptures, a tower that you showed earlier towards the beginning, was that a fountain grass at the very top that was seated?
Oh, you
some
mean
kind of a
at Reiman Gardens with those, where they made those look like it? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was kind of interesting. And I also wondered, did a lot of places have rose gardens or areas for roses, or not so many?
Not so many. You know, Reiman Gardens, I think, and I don't have a whole lot of pictures from there, but there is some more roses there at the time when I went through. I was looking for something that was a little bit more, you know, like the more unusual things, and I'm just amazed by the creativity of some of these gardens and the people that plant them, and the fact that most of the work is done by volunteers is amazing to me. But I think there are some, but not as many as you would think. Like, I know roses are a favorite for a lot of people, but I think they go for something a little bit more unusual. I think you can probably find roses throughout those gardens, but I didn't get pictures of them, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, I have a couple more questions, if that's okay. And the photo that you showed with the trees that were cut off, with it had just the trunks.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some after the storm, the derecho last summer. I've seen trees around Cedar Rapids where the trees were cut off after they fell down, and then there's new growth coming out of the tops of them. And I was thinking how cool that would be to feature, and people can do that in their own yards. That one was a really pretty red, and it was just like a little ball of hair growing out of this really short tree. And it was really cool. I thought that reminded me of that these look like they wouldn't grow anything, but a lot of them around here are still growing.
You know, and I know that they say, though, I've heard from people that you really don't want to leave those growing, the ones that are growing out of stumps here, because they're structurally, they won't be very good. They won't have a leader and that, you know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to see these stumps growing at, like, desperately trying to get back to where they were. And But- tear a lot of those out. The ones on city property don't get torn out yet, but yeah.
And one last thing, I really like the mosaic
Yeah,
pictures.
isn't that cool?
How
It's
fun
amazing.
is that?
And they're huge. I mean, they are, you know, taller than I am. They were just amazing. And I think that would be really, you would have to make sure you water those all the time so that they didn't dry out all the way, or you would be losing them. But that was really an amazing thing. So I'm hoping to get to different, now those are just the ones that within a couple hours of here. And I know there's a lot of gardens down in the Quad City area, and more like towards Council Bluffs and Omaha, and that I'd like to go to include, or maybe they make a different one. I've also wanted to this summer do one of regional gardens, but the weather hasn't cooperated. When I was in Milwaukee and it stormed the whole time, so I couldn't, there's a couple gardens I was gonna go to there, and it's been a summer like that, so I didn't get to, but I want to start on one like that.
Well, thank you. That was awesome. I enjoyed it.
Good, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.